We're a company and a venture capital firm that invests in companies run by women and minorities, particularly when they're away from the coast. Very, very focused on the Midwest. You are watching live the first pitch competition on Twitch, where you, the viewer, have an opportunity to vote for companies that you like best.
So every episode, we have 3 judges, plus you, the audience. You also get to judge each pitch. After each presentation, you'll see a cute little box pop up with a Twitter link for you to vote for if you would invest in the company yourselves.
During round 1, we watched as the startups presented their pitch deck in 5 minutes or less. Then the judges began their Q&A. After we selected viewer-submitted questions for the founders to answer, in the end, the audience and judges had the opportunity to vote in the poll below for the company they like best.
Candice, do you mind if we start?
Oh, sure. Sorry. All right, fam. Well, we got a video montage in the beginning now? Is that what happened?
Ooh, go Marlon.
I liked it.
Okay, we're fancy now. I see this. I see you.
We got all kinds of things.
I mean, we got motion graphics. We've got all sorts of things. Like, the team is kind of funny and fly. Like, wow. Wow.
It looks pretty bomb.
This is pretty good. We were just making this stuff up a couple weeks ago, and now here we are.
Doing it the right way.
Yeah, Marlon over here making this a real production.
It's full time now. He's got time, you know?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Yes. Okay, people. I'm feeling this.
All right.
And we're on time. I don't know how we're on time today, but we are. But we are.
So, Marlon, fill me in if you know more than I do. Our participants may be a little late today.
Cool.
My apologies. I didn't respond to their email until just now. So let us know when they show up, making sure everything's okay with their login.
Oh, yeah. I did see the Google Hangout link was there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We got you. We got you, folks. What's the topic of the day? What are we talking about today?
So I feel like there's so much we could talk about. We could go back to TikTok/Microsoft, which I don't think Microsoft development was out when the last time we had this show. So last Thursday.
Okay.
I have very strong feelings about this.
What, you do not believe that Microsoft should purchase TikTok?
And maybe it's a legal question. I just don't understand why structurally TikTok couldn't just spin out a US sub. And it doesn't even have to be, just spin out a sub that operated normally as they do now in the US. That is not owned by whoever the parent is, whose name I always forget.
Yeah, like Virgin America versus Virgin.
Yeah. Like, why is an acquisition your only alleged option?
It's not.
I don't think it is.
Why is it being presented that way?
It's political.
Why is it political?
It's not a financial thing, right? Because different industries, for instance, like Virgin, like there's blue sky laws that say the majority owner in an airline, a U.S. airline, has to be an American company, right? So Virgin couldn't just use its same Virgin Atlantic quotes. They want to do inter U.S. travel, right? So anybody can come to one city, but they can't hop from there to Cleveland or whatever. So they had to sell create and sell a new division to the American group, and they ran it. And unfortunately, they're the ones that sold it against Virgin Atlantic's wishes to who do they sell to? Like Alaska Airlines. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's no structural, financial, or legal issue. It's purely political.
And then my question is, why Microsoft? Did I miss something from the jump to you're going to get banned to Microsoft wants to acquire you? Why them?
They must have already been in talks. I think that happened way too rapidly for that to have not been a prior discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I think. But I mean, I think it's political. I mean, if we think about TikTok and the Zoomers, like, and the way they've behaved on TikTok and like communed amongst each other to get tickets for certain people's rallies, etc. You know, that a lot of his hatred, I'm sure, has come from just social media, right? Like, it never comes from a place of like actual policy or actually being disturbed by foreign influence. So I would say in this particular case, this is probably personal and not necessarily like truly policy driven.
And then my follow-up to that is, do you think there would be any practical uses for Microsoft in this acquisition? From what I've seen, their historical acquisitions, they're really terrible at integration. They take 5 years to integrate anything if they do that. Or do you think they would let it stand as is?
Marlon, how about you come in here and jump in on this if you've got time?
Hi. Yeah, real quick, my opinions. I have little to no. I do not want to see Microsoft acquire TikTok. I have opinions what I think it should. I think it'll be awesome to see Snapchat do it. I think be my first option. I think even 3 option, I would say even Facebook still can figure it out. And then I'm going to throw a wrench in there who I think that can really figure this out, even though they haven't done this. But I think Disney will be extremely interesting to acquire TikTok. There is no company in the world right now that does entertaining longer or better than Disney. And I think it'll be extremely interesting for them to get into the mix. But I have no appetite whatsoever to see Microsoft acquire TikTok.
Yeah, it'll just be a loss. It'll every company. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I don't know. Somebody's got a microwave going. Is somebody's microwave going? Can you hear that, or is it just me?
It's me. Hold on.
She's like, Mom, the microwave.
Mom, the meatloaf. So there may or may not have been a time recently where Disney did try to acquire some social media platform. So it is something that they are actively trying to figure out internally on what the future of social with Disney looks like. I will say, I don't think Snapchat has made so many missteps along the way. I don't think Evan really has the chutzpah to get that done. I think really it's over for them, and I don't think acquiring TikTok would work. I think if anything, TikTok should acquire Snap in practice. But I could see also Mark loves to acquire things because he's afraid that they'll take over more than Facebook. That's the only reason why IG happened. That was purely out of fear. So I think if he sees TikTok as a real player, yeah, that might be a real opportunity.
Good point.
Alexia, what are we eating?
Me?
I mean, what's in the microwave?
Oh, no, my dad was using the microwave. I have no idea. I have grape juice and mint, but that's about it. Yeah. Grapefruit juice.
Ooh. Nice.
Yeah, refreshing.
Well, today I have a bag of candy labeled candy.
That's super sad.
So minimalist.
Yeah, we got it from Detroit, and someone gave it to us, and it had one of those old grandma strawberry candies, you know, with a little bit of gel in them.
Yes.
But just one. So now I'm trying to figure out how do I go back and just get one more? And you can't buy them. They only show up if you're a grandma. So
my grandmother used to love those chocolate oranges. Do you remember those?
Yes.
That was her like candy of choice growing up.
Yes.
Oh, very specific to that community, I think.
Uh-oh, Brian has gotten bored. All right, so it looks like we probably should kick off.
I don't have a candy comment, but I did have something.
Let's hear it.
It's possible that one of those candies was created by an African American, which might just fulfill the people's request every week for a black snack.
Yes, and you would think Werther's were made by black people the way we eat them, but they're not.
Mr. Werther's not.
Huh?
Mr. Werther's not.
I'm just making an assumption that it's not. It could be very well be a black-owned candy company, but I don't think so. We would have all known that. Somehow we all get like this radar on everything owned by a black person. I'm not sure.
We have to. We have to support.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, it's 7:05.
It's time.
Hi,
All right.
Kareem.
All right. Getting started.
All yours. All yours.
Alrighty. Well, hello to all the beautiful people in the audience. Welcome to TwitchPitch. We're the very first live stream pitch competition where you, the viewer, get to vote for companies you like best. Are you new to TwitchPitch? Well, let's review, shall we? During round one, each startup presents their pitch deck in about 5 minutes or less. Then the judges will begin the Q&A. Afterwards, I'll select a couple viewer-submitted questions for the founders to answer and comment on, and in the end, the audience vote in the poll below for the company they like the best. The most simple way to determine which company you like is to ask yourself, would I invest in this company? 12 companies will pitch over the season, but only 3 with the most votes will be considered for the grand prize, and from that 3 will come the chosen one. But guess what? The audience vote is the tiebreaker. The grand prize is $10,000 in cash money. That can do a lot of good. Your judges are from the team at Lightship Capital. Alexis Alston is an investor at Lightship and a health tech enthusiast. Brian is a partner at Lightship and an expert in all things AI and machine learning. Candice is the founder of Hillman Accelerator, GP at Lightship, and an expert in all things CPG and e-commerce. I'm your host, Alexia Archery. I'm a BSMD student at the University of Cincinnati and a venture capitalist, aspiring venture capitalist. It's an interesting mix. Today, we have a very, very special guest, Hadiyah Mujihid. Hadiyah is the founder and CEO of HBCUvc, a nonprofit organization that educates and trains Black and Latinx populations in technology, entrepreneurship, and venture capital to create racially equitable economies. The organization runs a fellowship at Black and Hispanic universities where fellows activate their campus ecosystems by hosting entrepreneurial events and providing access to capital. HBCUvc is a Kauffman Inclusion Open Grant recipient. Previously, Hadiyah co-founded nonprofit Black Founders, where she created the first hackathon program for Black colleges and led a national conference tour for Black tech entrepreneurs. Let's welcome her, shall we?
Yes.
Like there's gonna be some.
Right, kind of like a Tonight Show.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on. We appreciate you being here.
Yes, I'm excited to be here because usually I'm in the audience. So
This is better. This is better. We need your help out here. All right, I think we're ready for the first company. Right?
Awesome.
All right. The first company is The Most, and we also have Wayslay today.
Cool.
Hi folks, it's Dawn Myers, founder and CEO at The Most, where we make natural hairstyling faster, easier, and more convenient than ever before. Now look, I am no Beyonce. I do not wake up like this. This takes me hours every time I style. And for a lot of women, it's the same. We encounter so many deep pain points because of our natural hair. things that should be really simple, things like working out, things like traveling, things like very simply cleansing our scalp become huge pain points that we have to plan our lives around. Major manufacturers don't really get it, so they can't solve our pain points, but I do. And so I am leveraging all of my experience in business, in marketing, and in law to lead, and in natural hair, to lead this product to market. Now, we did a lot of customer validation before we started this, and we drilled down on what exactly people were interested in. And we saw person after person after person told us the same thing. Their pain points were around detangling in product application. And so we came up with a system that makes detangling in product application faster and easier. Our technology really turns on our liquid product pods. Our liquid product pods are kind of like Keurig K-Cups, except for hair products instead of coffee. And we're doing the same thing that Keurig did with all of its brand partnerships with Dunkin' Donuts, Peet's Coffee, Green Mountain, you name it. We're engaging in the same kind of partner relationship building in the hair brand space, right? We want to piggyback off of all of the momentum that we know all of these existing brands already have on the market. And so for that reason, these pods are super innovative for hair. But in addition to that, these pods offer just incredible portability and convenience that this consumer has never had. So now our consumers can take the Most Mint, throw it into their luggage. They can take a couple of Mint minis, they can throw that into their luggage, and they can style really easily on the go. And we've never been able to do that before. All of the other tools on the market kind of deal with either straightening curly hair or deal with some kind of ancillary issue around our major pain points, but none really get at the major pain points that we need to address as women with highly textured hair. So this space is ripe for disruption. We haven't seen a new hair tool in the hair space in decades, and now that we're seeing these new trends with liquid products, with natural hair, we need tools that accommodate that. 60% of women in the US have some form of textured hair, and we're not being catered to at all. So this is a really big pain point, and it presents a huge opportunity. Now, just like all of the other hardware and renewable hybrids on the market, the Quip, the Clarisonic, Keurig, Harry's, Dollar Shave Club, you name it, we are depending on a renewable subscription model. So right now we are building brand partnerships with lots of other brands out on the market, and eventually we want our consumers to be able to go onto our website, pick the liquid products of their choice. We roll those out on a monthly basis in a subscription, and that really is what's fueling our growth. And look, we've got a lot of traction right now. We have done a ton of really elite accelerators. We've got a consumer channel that's really eager for this product. We're winning pitch competitions. We're out here and we are ready to take this market by storm. Now, we are super excited to get into the unit economics with you guys. What you need to know high level is that even through retail, we have a really, really healthy margin built into our finance model here. And we're super proud of the team that we've been able to build. Both our core team and our advisors are filled to the brim with tons of expertise in law, business, engineering, manufacturing, you name it. So we see this being an incredibly disruptive product in the hair space. We want to do in hair what Keurig did in beverage, and given the fact that this product is so, this space is so ripe for innovation, we believe that we can really take this market by storm, and we're super excited to take your questions.
Yeah, you did the mic drop, but you have to actually turn the mic on.
It was just like a meme. It was like, all right. So let's bring on Dom from The Most.
Hi guys.
That
Her
was
hair
a
looks
dope
just as good as it did last time.
Thank you. How you guys doing?
Very good. Very good. Candice, you want to start?
No, somebody else start. I'm gonna do mine last. I've got a list.
Uh-oh.
Well, I've got a question around, or more of a comment I'd like to have you comment on. Your 60% number was really impactful for me. I think we talked a lot on this show about people that have underrepresented founders that have companies that have to pitch kind of your standard white male investor from San Francisco. The issues don't always resonate, right? And so how do you talk to investors that may not understand the size of this market? And because when I hear the pitch, it makes sense to me. I look at the comments here. People are like, I have to have it. Where's this product? Amazing. So talk to me about that delta and how you overcome it.
Yeah, it's a difficult problem, right? There's no kind of trick to it. I think what it really comes down to is authenticity. I tell my story. I tell people about the fact that I'm an athlete and that I'm a professional. And I describe to them what that process looks like. And I show them, right? I usually, when I do a pitch, in person at least, I have a bag full of the products that I typically use to do my hair so that they can see what this process normally looks like, so that they can feel that gook on their hands and see how messy it is, so that they can see, how stressful it is for so many of us. They can see me putting my hands up and they realize, this is an arm workout every time I do my hair. So it's really about being authentic. And it's also about doing the work to draw the parallels. At the end of the day, everybody wants to feel good. And, whether I'm in a room full of white male investors or Black women investors, those white men know what it looks like to get out of their barber chair and feel good. And what we're trying to do is impart that same feeling to women of color.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No one wants to unmute. I'll go. Tell me how Sephora Accelerator is going so far.
Yeah, I love Sephora Accelerator. I'm a big fan. If there are any beauty founders out there that are considering applying, absolutely apply. So we've done quite a few accelerators at this point, but they've really filled in the gaps for all the things that are specific to our space. So we've learned a lot about retail. We've learned a lot about shelf space. We've learned a lot about kind of PR and how one needs to present as a beauty founder. They've really kind of taken everything that we know and they've amped it up just a little bit and made it specific for our space. So it's been going really well. We're actually gearing up right now for demo day and we're really excited for that.
So this is the piece of hardware. How far are you in the process of toward building it?
Yeah, so I actually bootstrapped the vast majority of the, of the development. So we have a fully functional prototype. It's a little broken right now, so we have to have our technologists work on a couple of things, but it worked well enough for us to do beta testing, for us to show it, for us to, just figure out what our next prototypes need to look like. At this point, we've done 4 rounds of prototyping. Within each of those rounds, there are sub rounds where we kind of make small edits and make small tweaks. And so we've been able to get pretty far. As you can see, we've got our pods right here, our pump right here, our removable, interchangeable bristle heads right here. And why this is really important, right? It's really important for women with different textures of hair to use this. It's really important for women with 4C hair to be able to use this. And so what we've done is we've designed bristle heads that mimic the shape of all of the most popular detangling tools on the market. And so, people can choose, okay, this brush works a little bit better for my hair, or this brush works a little bit better for my daughter's hair, so that everybody in the house can use it. So to answer your question more directly, we are at a stage where we're just raising funding so that we can go and make those commercial refinements and then manufacture.
Okay, cool. What did the first prototype look like versus this one?
Oh boy, the first prototype, I don't have it on hand, which is probably a good thing because it's really terrible. I actually came up with this concept and went to Ace Hardware in a tizzy and went to CVS in a tizzy and just bought up all of the detangling brushes I could find and went to the Ace Hardware and got soldering irons and glue guns and all kinds of crazy stuff. And I cobbled a prototype together. And basically it was 2 detangling brushes sandwiched together. The ends were welded together on a spring. And then I kind of took the pads of those detangling brushes and tore them out. And then I put liquid product in the kind of base of that pad and then glued it back in so that I could test whether it would actually work. And even though it was a messy prototype, it was enough for me to see, okay, there is some efficacy here. Tried it out on a couple of friends. They were like, okay, we're on to something. And so from there, I got on trains. I'm in DC. I got on trains and went to New York, met with any kind of beauty exec I could get my hands on and just grilled them. You know, what would I need to make this happen? What does a consumer think about? You know, how do I marry the interests of the consumer, the retailer, and investors? And eventually we came up with the prototype that you see now.
Awesome. I think it's good for folks watching and like founders and otherwise to understand that building a beta, building an MVP is something that typically a founder bootstraps themselves. While we do want, lots of people want to raise right away, it's just kind of impossible until someone has something that can be physically touched. It's just part of the process. So it's nice to hear kind of from start to finish and everything that you've learned along the way.
So many learnings.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to jump in here and ask about price points. So what's the price point that you're aiming at? And then do you know roughly right now, what is the unit cost for each?
Yeah, so our MSRP is set at $200. Right now, not right now, but we did do a limited pre-sale campaign where we sold pre-sales at $125. We believe that $200 price point makes sense because if you go to Sephora, if you go to Ulta and you look at their hair tool section, their hair tools generally start at about $150, and that's their really basic old technology. Those hair tools can go up as high as $400 or even $500 for some of the more high-tech new releases from companies like Dyson. And so we believe that given the general price insensitivity for this particular consumer, that's thirsty for solutions and doesn't really have any. We think that $200 price point is going to move great. And the margins are pretty solid. We obviously we haven't commercialized our prototype, right? So that's going to be another round of prototyping to kind of make sure that the injection molded version is what it needs to be. But we believe that our cost per unit is going to be about $45 per unit. Now, over time with higher value, with higher production, we can definitely get that price down. But even at a $45 price point, and even at retail, right, where we're going to have distributors and retailers taking a cut, we're still looking at about a 30% margin, which is quite healthy for hardware. D2C, we're looking at even a much healthier margin. So we're really happy with those numbers so far.
And if you don't mind, can you walk through, I guess, the product itself? Like, does the product heat up? And this is I'm the 4C girl right here. Are there products, like what's the difference between, when my hair was longer, me just using a Denman brush and putting conditioner on my hair and using that? Is there, like, what does the product do in addition to?
Yeah, so the main grab is that it's streamlining the process, right? So as you just kind of recounted, right, you're going to part your hair, you're going to detangle it, then you're going to get your oils, then you're going to get your creams, right? So there's just a lot of steps in the process. And as you know, for a lot of women, especially women who are transitioning and trying to embrace their natural hair, it's a lot of complicated steps and people don't really know what to do. What we're doing is streamlining that process, and thereby, right, since we're only doing one step, you kind of shorten the process time. So the other kind of really big get is that we know that we're supposed to do hot oil treatments. We know that we're supposed to like warm our products before they use them. Many of us have low porosity hair, makes it harder for that moisture to enter your hair. Well, our product warms very gently. It does not heat like a straightening iron, but it very gently warms that product so that it's appropriately warmed to get that penetration into your hair. And as you can see, these minis, we call them, they're kind of like, as I mentioned, Keurig K-cups. They come pre-filled with the liquid product of your choice. When you're ready to use it, you would plug it in, you turn the unit on, let it warm up that liquid product at the bottom. And then when you're ready to run it through your hair, you would, again, get that detangling instead of straightened hair. And you would just press a button to release that those liquid products onto your hair.
Dawn, tell me a little bit more about what's the serving size, to use a food term, for the minis? Is it one use? Is it multiple use? And in addition to that, how are you thinking about the frequency of the subscription side of this? And does that change from user to user, or is it a
I'm
standardized?
so glad you asked
frequency?
that. We've been doing a lot of research around how to kind of make this work. So just to back up to the beginning of your question, the point here is to make textured hairstyling faster, easier, and more convenient, right? We all know that we've been kind of moored to our kind of bathroom vanities to do our hair. It's very difficult for us to just pack all of our things and travel with our hair stuff. And so these minis are meant to make that process a lot easier and a lot faster. And so each of these minis are TSA compatible. The TSA limit for liquid products is 3.2 ounces. Our containers come in at 3 ounces. From the research that we've been able to do with our beta testers, nobody's really using more than really 2.6 ounces of even their highest volume product. So as you guys know, you're going to use a different amount of oil than you are cream, than you are gel, or whatever else it is you're going to use. And so we want to make sure that people could get at least one use out of their products. Now, how much you use exactly is going to depend on your hair length, your hair thickness, and your just styling preferences, right? But we believe that everybody's going to be able to get at least one good use out of these guys. And then when we talk about frequency, we looked at some of the other kind of subscription models on the market. And what we noticed is that a lot of folks are doing quizzes on the user's routines. And we would do something similar here. We would ask that user, how often do you use your hair? When you wash your hair, when you style, which products are you using? What do you use most frequently? According to that, we will be able to give them a subscription model that's tailored to their needs, because we're not a monolith and all of us have very different styling needs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to maybe one or two user questions here. Lexi?
Are the pods recyclable? If so, what additional costs does that introduce?
Yeah, what a great question. So look, Keurig is our North Star, and the one kind of chink in Keurig's armor was the fact that they took so long to start to think about sustainability, and we wanted to get ahead of that from the very beginning. Our current pods are 3D printed, and it's very difficult for us to kind of finance sustainable or biodegradable 3D printed materials. This is something that we're thinking about for our final round of production. We're currently in talks with a very big manufacturer that has expertise in kind of chemicals and materials and in kind of sustainability processes. And we're trying to get our arms around exactly what materials we want to use and what materials would be most consistent with all of the products, all of the branded products that we want to put into these pods. We actually just onboarded a team of Black women engineers. We're really proud of that. One of whom has a chemical engineering background, and she's able to help us walk through some of these more nuanced issues. So that's something that's definitely top of mind for us and that we're thinking through for the next round.
Awesome. Can you only use pre-filled pods? I have products and home concoctions I like to use too.
Absolutely. So we understand this user better than anybody else on the market. As I've mentioned, our entire team is filled with Black women technologists, marketers, engineers, product designers who really get the problem. And we know that this consumer niche is very DIY centric, right? They want to be able to use their Shea Moisture. They want to be able to use their Carol's Daughter, but they also want to use their flaxseed gel that they made at home or their Ayurvedic oils, right? So we wanted to allow for that. And we do that the same way that Keurig did it. Again, our North Star. When you buy a Keurig, you get all of your pods and your samples, but you also get a refillable pod where you can put your tea leaves or your coffee of your choice. We have a refillable model that allows our users to do the same.
Well, Dawn, thank you so much.
Thank you.
The crowd loves it. A lot of fans out here. So now we're going to have you off the show, and we're going to talk behind your back about your company. All right.
Awesome.
All right. Who wants to go first?
I can go first.
Yes, go.
Okay. So just from like a pure team and market, like genius, like amazing team. I love Dawn. Even before like knowing that she was going to be on the show, I've been following her on Twitter, so I'm aware of the work that she's doing. She's also an HBCU grad, and the market is amazing. I do have some small like questions around not the product itself. Well, okay, so yeah, exactly the product itself. But you know, when we think about like who you want to get behind, like I'm all in on like supporting her as a founder and her team is just amazing. And someone noted in the comments that you know Tristan is an advisor for her. But there are some concerns as like you know, I think was it Juiceroo was like this big product that happened in Silicon Valley a couple of years ago where it was like just this, I don't know, it ended up being just a sham.
Juicer.
You get, so you get into those like concerns of like, hey, how do we build a product that is more than just, because I think personally, I weigh in on like, how much time is it really going to save me? And my hair itself is pretty thick. Like, I don't care what you have, like getting through this thick piece of hair is going to take time. It's just commitment to that. And I've come to acknowledge that.
Can we also just say real quick that you have so many fans in the chat as well? Like, definitely.
I'm paying them to be there.
Very beehivey, very beehivey.
Well, I mean, she started blackfounders.com. Like, you don't kind of get any bigger than that in Black tech. Like, she knows everyone. And then she starts an HBCU company. And so then she gets everybody.
Rabid fans.
Rabid fans. You know, here's my concern. So I believe it's a problem. I believe that this is one of the solutions to the problem. The hard part is funding a hardware company is the most, right? Like, it is the hardest part. It's the hardest company to raise money for. And so, you know, besides Tristan, who else has raised money for a textured hair product that one is specifically focused? So there's going to have to be so many other funders involved with this process that's the only thing that gives me pause. It's like finding the other people, finding like the Underground Railroad conductors that are going to be willing to put money into the iteration it takes to build this thing.
Yeah.
That's me.
I think she was like on point in her messaging, right? You know, there's one way to come to this, and you're saying I'm creating a product for Black women, and she said women with textured hair. So if she walks in a room with white men investors and their wife has like waves in their hair, they're like, oh, you know, they can start to relate to that. And so she opened up the market very broadly so that investors, and I know specifically what you're talking about, because in the hardware product, you are going to need like more investors to come on board, and you're going to need more funding upfront to get this right. But I think in her framing of this message of like, hey, there are people who don't identify as Black who have textured hair, which makes an amazing story to tell.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
I would like to see a larger, and I know we're early, but a larger suite of solutions for this consumer develop. One thing that we see a lot of times with early stage companies that investors get weary about is this a company or is this a product? Like, how can we scale from this one probably really great product into a full community or suite of products, right? How did Dyson go from a vacuum to hair dryers? It's really about how do we think about that? How do we create an entire suite using probably the same technology? You don't have to reinvent the wheel in terms of R&D, but how do we really holistically capture this market? That's what I'm thinking about.
And that's a good point. And I'm sure that Dawn is still behind the scenes and she probably will end up answering this for us later. But just like most founders, they all have like 50 more ideas back there. So my assumption from her, and just like kind of running into her through just kind of random meetups throughout the tech ecosystems, like that there's probably a whole suite in her head that just isn't built out yet.
My take on it is hardware's hard. I advise a couple hardware startups, and all of them kind of struggle to bring things to market because hardware is just so difficult. And getting the product from wherever it's built to wherever it's finally assembled, right into the consumer's hands, all costs money, all difficult, all challenge. Versus a digital product, which is like buy it and you have it. That said, the kryptonite, to that problem is to have a really strong founder who pitches really, really well, right? Because you're going to need a lot of cash. So if you're not a good pitcher and you're doing a hardware startup, it's not going to look good for you, right? It's just not. So she has that on her side. The other thing that you need is a just rabid fan base, like a Hadiyah level fan base that people just believe in what you're doing and will actually lend their time, talent, and treasure to you being successful. And I already see that here. And I again, like Hadiyah follows her outside of all this, right? Because she's somewhat invested in her success, right? So I think that all plays a role to why she can mitigate the risk a little bit.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
All right. Well, Alexia, would you join us again to introduce the next company?
All right. So up next we have Wayslay.
Wayslay.
I just like the name Wayslay.
I have no idea. So we're gonna find out.
Hi, I'd like to introduce you to Wayslay, where our vision is to tech enable the fragmented and opaque beauty supply industry. To do this, we're developing an on-demand marketplace that connects beauty suppliers to consumers who use Black hair care and cosmetics by providing an affordable delivery channel for a convenient shopping experience. The Black hair care and cosmetics industry has grown into a $9 billion business. However, despite this tremendously valuable growth, beauty suppliers are still missing a delivery channel to meet the needs of today's on-demand economy. Our journey began as a hypothesis that the beauty supply industry is the last, if not one of the last industries to embrace delivery. Naturally, we wanted to understand why that was, so we had to do a deep dive into understanding the pain points of why delivery is only offered by approximately 5% of beauty suppliers and come up with a last mile delivery model that solves this unique problem. As we dove deeper, we realized that beauty supply merchants not having access to a delivery fleet was common. When we began asking store owners why they didn't offer delivery, it commonly came down to the high cost and complexity of managing a delivery fleet, which includes delivery vehicle maintenance and staffing, increased insurance costs, and not having a platform to receive orders and payments. This led to the creation of Wayslay, an on-demand delivery marketplace to help beauty supply stores connect with consumers by providing affordable last-mile delivery. Our platform delivers to customers' doors within an hour through a partnership with one of the largest delivery aggregators, which provides beauty suppliers with access to a delivery fleet made up of over 500,000 drivers in 3,500 cities. Merchants also avoid all vehicle and driver expenses and enjoy worry-free operation without managing a fleet. This new marketplace opens the doors for beauty supply stores to engage directly with new customers in an expanded market. The total addressable market for beauty, cosmetics, and fragrance stores is $24 billion. Our focus is the $9 billion Black hair care market that's focused on the full value chain for everyday consumers and stylists. Wayslay's multi-sided platform consists of 3 applications: a customer-facing app, a merchant web portal app, and an admin management portal. Consumer features include location-based search, promotions, in-app payments, and real-time delivery tracking. Beauty supply stores using the merchant portal can manage their storefront listing and inventory, as well as they have access to sales reports so they can keep track of how their business is growing with Wayslay. So here's how to slay. First, beauty supply merchants list their products by selecting the items they carry from a preloaded product catalog. Customers can then find local beauty suppliers and select the products they need. The store receives the order and payment, then prepares the items for the delivery driver. Once ready, the delivery driver picks up the items and delivers them directly to the consumer's doorsteps in minutes. We're partnered with a third party to dispatch delivery drivers, as I mentioned, and the delivery fee is charged directly to the customers to keep margins high. This unique business model allows us to take a 20% commission on each transaction that's split between the merchant and consumer, 12 and 8% respectively, with room to grow. Before launch, we conducted over 100 interviews with potential customers to validate our idea. Since last month, we've grown our social organically to over 950 followers and have done a little over $380 in sales. When you look at our competitive advantage, we're the first scalable model for on-demand beauty supply delivery, and we're built to scale quickly. We have trusted drivers vetted by the third party. We're a one-stop shop for beauty supplies, and our platform is easy to use for both the consumer and merchant. Some of our competitors include online beauty supply retailers, Amazon, Maven, and local beauty suppliers that offer delivery. Wayslay differentiates itself by offering national and regional product variety, delivery within 60 minutes, and we have zero inventory nor delivery costs to keep margins high. Our two-sided strategy includes direct sales and partnerships with distributors for referrals for the merchants. For the consumer, we're focused on our branding, so beauty suppliers are excited to promote Wayslay to their customers as we place attention on performance marketing, SEO, and influencer partnerships with top stylists to drive growth for a true network effect. We believe that we're the right team to accomplish this mission, given our expertise in leading digital transformation initiatives and strategic management for the largest banks, retailers, and fast food restaurants. We're also advised by the president of the Black Owners Beauty Supply Association, as well as a third-party delivery aggregator operations manager. By tech-enabling beauty suppliers, our vision is to be the largest beauty supply retailer with enough volume to become an enterprise for big data. This will be accomplished through exclusive partnership with beauty suppliers and offering a personalized shopping experience that will allow us to become the source of truth for Black hair care sales and trends to assist companies with major decisions. With this data and having built a trust factor with our merchants, positions us to also offer SaaS tools focused on improving store profitability.
All right, let's bring on the Wayslay team.
How's it going?
Hey, thanks. How are you?
Good, good. And yourself?
How is it to hear yourself pitch? Is it kind of weird?
It definitely is. That was my voice. This is our first time pitching, so it's very.
You did all right job. Did all right job.
Thank you.
I'll go first. I have a question about a couple of things. One, defensibility. I've known maybe I've done a lot of work in the Miami ecosystem, and I think I've known maybe at least two companies kind of doing some similar things. So how do you kind of build a moat around your business fast enough so that there isn't a version of you in every city in the U.S.?
Yeah, so I can take that. So I think ultimately what we're doing here is we want to build first a network effect in Miami, right? Get everyone excited about it here. And so we've been hitting the ground running by connecting with different merchants. And essentially what we've been focusing on is talking to merchants that have multiple stores, right? So we can grow rapidly. In order to actually grow in other cities, essentially what we've been doing is partnering with those who are connected with those beauty supply stores, which tends to be distributors. And so on the back end, although we're not in areas like Atlanta, LA, or New York, what we're doing is essentially is gearing up and so that we can quickly onboard those stores. In general, the process for onboarding is very quick and very easy. And what we found is that beauty suppliers in general are very excited to be able to offer delivery at an affordable rate to their clients.
I think it's also important to add a little bit there on the technical side. Technically, we've built a system that is designed to scale nationally. If you're looking at our competition, their business models are just not kind of built to do that. And I think that's another thing that, since we're doing that from the very beginning, is going to give us that head start to break away from the competition.
Yeah, and just one point, if I may add, we are also focused on getting exclusivity from some of our beauty supply merchants, and so that's something that we're also working on too. So that avoids someone else from eating our lunch in the future.
Thank you.
I'll go next. So there was a competition slide, and on that competition slide, there was one full row that was empty, and it was for a company called Maven. So tell me why all of those, they received no checks.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So Maven's model, for those who aren't familiar, what they do is they empower stylists to sell hair products on their behalf, right? So if you're a stylist, you're able to actually sell, hair to their customers rather than going to the beauty supply stores that we're working with. The products that they have are their own name brand, right? So they're not the Bobby Bosses or the Wet and Wavies or the Cantu products that everyone knows and loves per se. So we essentially offer national, regional, and local products. And then in terms of delivery itself, while they do offer, the typical e-commerce, shipping and handling, as well as fast delivery, the advantage we have is that we can deliver within an hour quickly, right? We found that we've been able to deliver as fast as 15 to 20 minutes. And so this is really for the consumer that's looking for convenience, as well as the products that they know and use on a regular basis.
And so are you more closely aligned with the stylist or the actual end user?
More so with the end user, for sure. But we love partnering with stylists as well, because we know that for them, right, like they shouldn't be leaving their salon or, even if they're doing hair in the house because they ran out of glue, for instance, right? Through Wayslay, this ensures that they're able to stay wherever it is they need to be to get to do their hair in order so that they can actually maximize their revenue for the day. We found that that's common, that stylists run out of materials naturally. And so in those unplanned situations, we're able to cover their backs.
So did you say this is your first time pitching, like, ever?
Yeah, like we haven't spoken to too many people. We just launched in June, so this is our first time. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to be totally rude then. Okay, so maybe you can learn some things. All right, so I don't know. Have you heard of this VC? Her name is Arlen Hamilton.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, so everybody asks me if I know her.
Okay.
And maybe I should set up my fund to be just like hers. I do know her really well. She's an awesome person. So lots of people are going to ask you, do you know Deshaun from Maven? Do you know him?
I know him, but I don't know him, if that makes sense.
Okay, cool. So his story is that his family was kind of in the beauty business. And so that's why he's passionate about this space. So tell me, like, why are you passionate about this space over someone else? Because as a Black woman, I see a lot of Black men getting into like the hair and beauty space. Why you?
You want me to take it, or Mike, do you want
to? I can hop in there. I think from a technical perspective, I think if you take a look at our team, right, our team is strong in terms of technology. And that's because my background is in software architecture. So software architecture is all about understanding a domain from the ground up and building software to meet the needs of those businesses. So that's just something that I enjoy to do, right? I enjoy learning domains from the ground up and building software to meet those business needs. And that's exactly what we're doing here. And not just technically speaking, I think that we also have really great advisors that are kind of helping us along in this process, right? So we're advised by the president of BobSaw, who's really helping us understand the ins and outs of the beauty supply industry, the beauty industry all in all. And that's the more we learn, the more that we love this industry and the more we can contribute and just build a product that's going to improve the industry for everyone, customers and merchants alike. We're also working very closely with merchants. We're in the stores with them. We're seeing how they interact with customers, kind of what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, and making sure that we're building software, that isn't kind of, we're not making software that's going to bend their business to fit our model. Right? We're building software that is going to improve their business. It's going to grow their business. So I think that those things, and also I would actually argue that as two guys with no experience in this industry, we're really coming into this with a fresh pair of eyes. Right? We're not taking anything for granted. We're not coming in with any baggage. We're looking at this holistically and saying, okay, this is how this is done. This is how the customers are interacting. This is how the merchant, is taking orders, and we're building software to meet those needs. And I think that is one of the advantages that we have, actually.
Yeah, and I think just to add to that as well is the fact that, our passion too prides itself in being able to build something like for us, by us, right? And, oftentimes you don't find too many apps or services that provide this type of convenience, right? For merchants that may consider going on Postmates, or for example, they're essentially, trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. And so what we're focused on is really making sure that our end consumers are able to conveniently get the products that they need. One of the customer feedbacks that I received, because I actually call everyone who orders to get their story and figure out why they use Wayslay, was a mom who had, multiple kids who, often uses delivery because, it's tough for her to be able to leave and manage her kids on trips to the grocery stores or even to the beauty supply store. So for her, the fact that we were able to, deliver beauty supplies, was a plus, because that was something that's not typically available for her.
So I actually had the same exact question that Candice had. And I think, one, good job in pitching. Another, especially if this is your first time, I think last mile delivery is a very interesting space that I'm personally interested in. And especially when you're talking about post-COVID right now, there's an amazing opportunity there. The thing that I didn't get from your pitch or, even answering Candice's question is, what is your personal connection to beauty supply? And the reason why that's important, especially as you continue to pitch and tell like either investors or either customers that you are the right person to be running this company, is because entrepreneurship is just tough. And when shit hits the fan, they want to know, like, why is your heart in this? What's your story to that? So finding a way as you continue to pitch and evolve, finding that personal connection, I think.
No, thank you for
really
that feedback.
Good insight. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I have.
So my question is around, I guess, more of an open-ended thing. Tell me about your relationship to your merchants and what an ideal merchant persona looks like for you, which ties into kind of a secondary question of, why aren't you just going after the Sally's and the other kind of beauty supply giants as your primary merchants, and why go for the smaller, maybe own a few stores, but the smaller individualized?
Sure. Ian, you want to take that one?
Sure. So the reason we go after these smaller merchants are for a couple of reasons. One, although these stores are smaller, right, they are the ones that carry the products that our end consumers need at the end of the day. So that's the first reason. And then the second reason really is because it's difficult for these smaller merchants to be able to create a digital presence online. For them to be able to create a website and run it, that costs them a lot of money. For them to be able to list their products on Amazon, there's a large barrier to entry. And what we're built for are merchants that are mom and pops that don't embrace technology, right? They can easily be onboarded to our platform. But also on top of that, we're also working with some chains down here as well, where they do have a tech staff, right? And so, and they also sell on Amazon, and we're able to easily integrate with them on the back end using data. So really, soup to nuts, it's from your mom and pops all the way up to your largest chains. And then when you think about actual management of the platform itself, it's very easy to run. One of our clients that we have, his father actually works with him side by side, and he's, I want to say, about 70 years old, and he's able to manage the platform and do deliveries as well. And so we know what we have is very easy to use as well.
One last quick question. What line item or what part of the budget for these smaller mom and pops who aren't already doing delivery are you eating into?
So are you just asking it from like a general like markup perspective, or? Yeah. So I guess so general markups for beauty products are, I would say, on the low end are about 40 and 50%, and then they can go up to as high as 8 and 10x, depending on the type of wig, for instance, that may be sold. And so when you actually do the math and you compare us just from a COGS perspective against, Uber Eats or Postmates, for example, our profitability is higher, right? And I know that this is a value to these merchants because labor, for instance, is a lot lower in a beauty supply store than it is in a restaurant, for example, right? And so in either way you look at it, our profitability is higher based on the rate that we're charging.
All right, let's bring Alexia back to ask some audience questions. Look at this, a 7 box. I like it.
All right, everybody. Why not focus on solely B2B to start?
Yeah, so obviously this is a market, so this is a chicken and egg situation, and a lot of our efforts are on establishing that presence with merchants. So by the end of this month, we hope to be in double digits, and then from there, we know that flywheel network effect will start to take place. So currently we're available in Miami-Dade and Broward County. Brian, I know you said that you were familiar with Miami. So that's the area we're focusing on. And then eventually we'll make our way to Palm Beach and to other areas as well.
Cool. I think maybe one more question. Or
that might be it.
What's the return process?
You want me to take that, or you want to take it, Mike? Hey, Mike, you're on mute, I think.
Okay. So today, the return process is going to be handled by the individual merchants. We have the capability built into the platform itself to facilitate refunds, but we're in the process of essentially kind of coming up with deciding whether that should be a singular process for everyone, or an individual process based on the region or the individual merchants. And it's something that we're in the process of figuring out right now.
Yeah, so what we found is that some merchants allow returns as long as the product is not used, and then others don't overall. And so we're still getting a better fit for that. But right now, the exact process would be that the end user would need to return that product itself.
all right, well, guys, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. We really appreciate
Thank
it.
you, guys.
And, thanks for everything you're doing for the culture. We love you guys. So.
It means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Ian and Mike. Have a good night.
Bye.
I love the for the culture shout out. I love it.
It's got to soften the feedback a little bit, I'll tell you. No, I like it. Well, one, to see someone's first pitch is a very rare, big deal. And I can tell you my first pitch wasn't half as good as that. So you have to grade a little bit on a little bit of a curve there, just because he's going to get better and better and better with iteration. They're independent of the pitching, which I actually thought was good. There are still, for me, real issues. I mean, literally 2 other competitors in Miami only, let alone, every other place. And then I think a lot of you guys and the audience kind of picked up on the question you were asking, like, their core consumer has to be a woman, just absolutely has to. I can't imagine it not being. And so I want to see more women on the advisory board. I want to see more women on the team in really impactful roles to help guide that ship in the right direction for your core consumer. That was one of Dawn's kind of key strengths in the previous pitch, right? And I'd like to see it here.
Yeah. If you're judging somebody on their first pitch, I think that we can just all understand that that's what we're judging here. Is this is a first pitch. They still have a long way to go. And there can be multiple competitors in the same market. It depends on what type of company we're building. So we're typically judging people on venture backable companies. It doesn't mean that this can't be a great lifestyle business. Lifestyle businesses can make millions of dollars a year, right? And so he could actually get traction in lots of different cities. It just won't be funded by venture capital. Both of these gentlemen seem like they understand business. They understand how to build things. They understand how to go back and talk to a customer. So the fact that he actually called the customer, found out kind of what their pain point was, kind of proves that they're willing to put in that type of work, and not everyone is willing to do that. So, if I'm judging them on business savvy, I think they have it, right? If I'm judging them on whether or not they have a venture backable company, I don't think they have that, right? But I think that it's definitely a business, and these are businessmen. I don't want to knock them too hard, just because I feel like I don't like giving that type of feedback. I think that's kind of a-hole-ish, because I'm not judging them on the criteria that I would typically judge upon.
Yeah, kind of same feedback along the same line. I thought that they were a great team. I think he mentioned that he was technical, so he built the product, and so I'm always long on team. So they have a good team. They can just build anything. I'm not convinced about the market itself. I know they use the $9 million black hair market, but that's a total different type of space. They are very niche in small businesses that sell products to the black consumer. And that to me is a very, very small market size. And I agree that could be a very good business. But when we think about the certain amount of returns that venture wants, it doesn't exactly align with venture funding. So I have the same piece of feedback. Great business, great team, not necessarily venture aligned, and also just the personal feedback on I didn't necessarily understand why they were running this company. And not saying that it has to be a woman, but I just never got that connection of why they would want to do that. Even if I was as a customer, someone was telling me the story of these guys who created this company. I'm like, okay, but why? And so I think that that's just something that they will develop in, but I think that they're a great team.
I agree. And I'll bet you $5 that this company takes this infrastructure and 6 months from now pivots to something else. Something tells me in my gut that there is a stronger pain point that merchants and suppliers are facing that they could really dig into and solve that issue for them. I don't think this is that key issue, but I think they have an opportunity with this network to really solve that for people. My other general feedback would be, we talk a lot about building a really great pitch, but we don't talk a lot about building a really great Q&A component to the meeting. And I think Dawn really demonstrated how strong she was in the Q&A segment and how she's fully prepared to answer anything that came her way. I think that's something all teams, particularly newer teams, can work on, that your Q&A has to be as tight as the pitch, or else it kind of invalidates everything that came before it. So it's just something to think about when you practice with your friends or your mentors or your investors. how do you make sure you're fully prepared to answer every question adequately and effectively too?
All right. So why don't we bring back? What? Do you have something, Candice?
No. I was listening to the show and my hands were moving. Sorry.
Gotcha. Why don't we bring back Alexia and she can take us out?
Alrighty, everyone.
Did we vote?
Oh.
She's going to tell people to vote because that's Alexia.
Now you're the mother hen, not me tonight. Thank you very much. Good to know one of us takes over the role.
Go ahead.
Do your thing, Alexia. Don't let us stop you. Just do your thing.
Alrighty, everybody. So don't forget to vote for your favorite companies. We had 2 great pitches today. A huge thank you to the judges and the companies, as well as our guest judge. Thank you so much for coming. The Twitter poll is now live. So don't forget to think of it this way. If I were a venture capitalist myself, who would I truly bet my money on? This episode of TwitchPitch is sponsored by Republic and Amazon Web Services. Republic allows anyone to invest in privately owned and vetted startups. They launched to level a playing field for entrepreneurs and investors. Republic has garnered a reputation as an industry leader in the regulated crowdfunding space and continues to innovate and push forward toward their mission to democratize startup funding and investing. This episode is also sponsored by Amazon Web Services, or AWS. AWS is the most comprehensive and broadly adopted cloud platform, offering over 175 fully featured services from data centers globally. Millions of customers, including the world's fastest growing startups, are all using AWS to become more agile and innovate faster. These are real firms pitching real investors for real cash and prizes. So don't forget to stay tuned and tune in on Thursday at 7 p.m. We'll have another very special guest. And Thursday is our final round of pitches before the final results next week. So stay tuned to hear the last 2 pitches and then come back next week for the final results.
All right. Thank you so much. Now we're going to go to the vaccine segment. Hadiyah, you're welcome to stay, hang out, or you could go.
I'm hanging out.
Excellent. Man, so
No one ever wants to go.
I too am a secret Hadiyah stan. Like, I have been obsessed with her work for years now. And if you aren't on the train, everybody get on the train. Because all she does is build great.
Hashtag Hadiyah stan in the comments today. Like, it's a real thing out here. It's a real hashtag.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to
totally get it.
She's completely unaccepting of all this feedback.
You guys, so
crying in the background, but that's what I'm saying on mute.
So true story. I was at Black Tech Week probably 3 years ago now, and I was at the JW Marriott down in Miami. I'm in the front lobby, and I think across the way I see Nena. And I'm like, oh my God, it's Nena Akuku from Black Founders. Like, I'm like totally wigging out in my head, like totally wigging out. I was so excited. And so like, she sees me, I see her, and she's like, oh, are you here for Black Tech Week? Because, you know, Black people in the lobby of JW Marriott. So during that time, so I was like, yeah, she's like, do you want to share an Uber? So I'm like really wigging out then, like, she wants to share an Uber with me. Like, I can't believe this is happening. We get in the back seat and she asks me why I'm there. And I'm trying to like not ask her why she's there because I know she's there to speak because of course she's Nena, right? Like, oh my God. So she asked me why I'm there. And I'm like, hey, like, I know who you are. Like, I think you're great. I totally started crying because I was so excited to meet her. I was so excited. And then we became fast friends. And then she brings me to her house and Hadiyah shows up and Monique, you know, like, and so they're all there. I'm trying to not look like this nerd who was just so excited to see these women in real life. Like, I couldn't believe that they would even let me be in their presence. I couldn't believe it. So here we are now.
Okay, so now I get to tell my story of when I was at Candice, right? So this is going to be like fangirl all the time. So let me tell you about the And Candice, I'm pretty sure you don't remember this.
Oh,
right?
no.
So, because it wasn't a direct introduction to me. So before HBCUvc was like formally HBCUvc, we were doing like these video interviews called HBCU The Startup. And we had interviewed, I think, Bjorn and Natasha. I think it was Natasha. And you were in the background the entire time giving comments, right? And she was like, oh my gosh, she's my girlfriend. I was like, can I be girlfriends with her? Because it was just so cool. Like the entire time that you were doing, you were just like supporting her from the background. I don't know if you remember this, but it was just so funny. I was like, oh, you guys sound like, can I be friends with you guys?
I love that girl. Yes, we've been fast friends too for a long time. Brian just actually helped her and Dawn through the acquisition. Yeah. So it's been, I've been supporting that young lady from the sidelines for a long time. I'm happy that happened for her. I didn't know that. I know I'm loud in the background of most things. Sorry about that.
But I think that's when you were running, was it like a parent startup? Was it?
Hello Parent. Hello Parent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, totally the case. Wow.
Which is worth mentioning. Like some of the companies that we see here on the show, even if they don't all work out, those same people will be like VCs one day, they'll be whatever, this, senior vice president at Google, whatever. Like these people are all amazing. They're all going to go on to do great things.
That's why it's important, and people don't get this. Like in this game, people just like, you're passing by all the time. And so I don't understand like investors who treat entrepreneurs like shit.
Oh, I don't get it.
It's all about the game about like your reputation and how you treat people. That's what people remember. And you know, like you said, like these people, I don't know, maybe in 2 years, I always look like reaching out to them for funding. So
they could be LPs when
Yeah, absolutely. And really, so we haven't talked about this yet. Maybe we can just pop into it real quick. Like the goal of having you here tonight was to kind of introduce HBCUvc, but then to have some of your alum come and judge next season, right?
Yes.
Because you never know where someone's going to start and where they're going to finish.
Yeah.
And so I think it's going to be really exciting to like just let these younger people come in and kind of like give us their opinion of these companies, because their opinions really are what matters. Like, I really take everything that Lexi says on the investment committee to heart. Like, she has an equal say on everything that we do. And it's sometimes way more enlightening than what Brian and I say during the investment committee meeting.
She lives with them. She's really like, she's gone through their entire business life and everything before it even gets to us. In fact, she has even more of a say theoretically because we don't see it.
Yeah.
She didn't bring it up, right?
And I think it's important to acknowledge that. I mean, I remember this was like last year, we were going through applications for like our VC Lab program, and there were a couple of applications that came in with esports. This is last year, and I was just like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Like, so people are playing video games as like a business. Like, I just didn't understand it, and my students were all over it. They were like, no, you know, HBCUs need to have esport leagues, and they were just so like, this was last year, and now I'm seeing articles come out around. There's like, especially with COVID, like how these leagues are starting, especially for HBCUs. And it's like, hey, they are so like, they have a awareness and a perspective that we don't have, and that's why we need to just honor and listen to that.
Yeah. So I'm excited to have them next season. I know our team will work on that diligently. I think I just came up with the idea and then walked away, like let that grenade go off, but we'll figure it out.
That'd be great. And I also encourage them to just watch anyway, because it's just such a, hearing you guys like talk is such a great learning experience for them. That's why I tune in, other than like just being big fans of the show. But just love hearing you guys talk.
Oh, have you gotten to watch Silicon Valley Squares yet?
I haven't. Wait. I haven't watched it yet, but that's the one. Monique is on it, right?
Monique is on it. I haven't gotten to see it because it's on Friday night and it's just not aligned well with my schedule.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to watch it. I want to watch
I haven't seen it yet. Shame on me because Monique is on it. Don't tell her though.
We'll edit that part out.
Just watch this square.
Just this little part. Awesome. Well, anything else, folks?
I think we're good.
I think we're good. Awesome. Well, Hadiyah, thanks so much for coming. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I'm back on Thursday, right? Or
are you?
You're back.
Yeah. Yay! Okay, cool.
Talk to you soon.
All right. Well, we'll see you later this week. All right.
Bye.
Good night, folks.